Welcome to YOUCANIC. Today here in YOUCANIC we have a 2016 Jaguar XE with the 3.0 supercharged motor. We're going to go over how you would change your alternator on this. It's fairly easy, and you do most of the work from under. So of course you'll jack up the vehicle, support it on your jack stands, have your brakes set so that it won't roll away. And then up here we have the engine cover on the top you can remove. You don't have to undo this stuff, but it does make it easy to be able to release your serpentine belt. We don't need to take the whole serpentine belt off, we just need to release it. Now you have two belts on here, one that runs the supercharger and one that runs all the other accessories of the motor. So we only need to remove the one that runs the auxiliary motors, and just to get it enough out of the way that we can get access to the alternator. So to start with, if you do remove this, which does make it a little easier, there's two 7mm bolts here on the clamp, and there's one more 7mm down in here that you would remove. And then go ahead and remove this bolt here, which is a 10mm that holds, it's just a bracket that holds this whole intake system into place. And we have a vacuum line over here that we just got to squeeze and pull out. And then once you do that, then you'll be able to release this from there, release this, and move that up out of the way. With that out of the way, we can now get very good access to our tensioner to be able to loosen that and get this off the pulley, so that when we work down at the bottom at the alternator, it's a lot easier to get to. So we have two tensioners on here, but we want to work on this one that's on the right hand side as we're looking at the engine, and the one over here is for the supercharger, and it's not, we don't need to actually be working or mess with this one, we can leave this alone. But we'll take a 1/2-inch drive ratchet, or they make a special tool just for serpentine belts, you can use that, but a ratchet works. And we will pull this back and then be able to move the serpentine belt off so that we can be able to remove the element. You're going to put your ratchet in there, and you're going to pull it so that the tensioner goes toward the center of the engine. And now you'll be able to remove the belt. We're not removing it completely, we're just removing it so that it's free, and then when we go down on the bottom, we can do the work on the alternator unit itself. So here is our alternator right here, and see the belt that we have free. Now we can just set that up to the side to be out of our way. We have two 13mm bolts right here that bolt to the side of the motor to be removed, and we have one more 13mm bolt that's up here just above the pulley itself, and we can be able to gain access with the ratchet and an extension, and to be able to loosen and remove that. And then next, there's this little clip that holds the wire that goes into this connector, and we just remove this clip so that when we bring it down, we can be able to squeeze that clip and undo it easier. And then we also have this red cover up here, which is your power lead. Now we can be able to pull that back. I should mention, at the start of this project, you do disconnect your battery, negative battery cable from the battery itself before you do this project, so that when you hit the side of the wall or the side of the car, you don't spark and arc yourself. So as you'll see a red cover up here. If you pull it back, it's a 13mm bolt under there, and you'll just be able to get your wrench on it and be able to loosen so that you can remove that. So we remove the bolt. Now we'll be able to just pop this connector off and then that'll be just sitting pushed up out of our way. Now we will proceed. You can do it either any order, but we're going to go by getting the 13mm bolt out that's up on the top, and then we'll loosen these two on the bottom. You're just doing this by feel. So we've removed the bolt. Now we have access to remove these two bolts, and those are also 13mm. Alright, so the bolts are removed. Now we'll be able to just drop this alternator down. You can check that connector, see how it's connected. It's got the gray tab that we got to push back, and then we can be able to push the to unconnect it. So once you push the gray tab back, now you should be able to squeeze it. And pull that connector out, and that's the removal of your alternator. So there's your alternator been removed, and then you'll take a new one or a good remanufactured one to be able to replace and put that back in. We are under the car. The car is raised on jack stands and supported. Now this is where the alternator goes. Up inside here, we've got one bolt that's going to go here from the top of the alternator, and then two bolts here at the bottom, and then some electrical connectors to connect up. This is the belt, so we just want to make sure that this belt stays over here so that when we raise the alternator, it doesn't get stuck behind the alternator itself. We want the belt to come around in front. We're going to take our alternator and we're going to raise it up, and noting that the electric connections are up at the top on this. We've got it up, sitting up there in place. We're going to start the bolts here on the bottom, get those started in there, and they are, all the bolts are the same size, so there's no worries there. Okay, so I got the bottom two started up in there, and now we're going to work and get the top one in. The bottom two have some room, and the top one's solid. And so it's right above the pulley there, and we just got to line it up and get to start in up there, and then we can tighten that one. And we can see that our belt is going to be right where we need it. This is top one. We're doing it all by you do it by feel. Okay, so we've got the three bolts tightened. Now we have the electric connectors to put back into place. We have this one. This is just a press connect, and then we got to push the gray tab in. There we go. That's locked in. And then This one clips here into the side. And now we have the power connector to put into place. And then that's a 13 millimeter nut that goes on top there. Okay, and it's tight. And now just make sure that the cover goes on top there, and all the connections are good here. And then from the bottom, if you're done doing any work, you'll put your splash shield back on. And now we'll go up top and we will reinstall the serpentine belt. Okay, so up here up top, we're going to reinstall our serpentine belt. Taking the tension off, and then running the belt back over the pulleys we removed off of. And before we're all done, we feel them to make sure that all of the that the ribs are inside the ribs that they need to be. And then you'll be done there. Go ahead and put your intake piece back on and hook up your battery, and you'll be good to go. Thank you for watching YOUCANIC, where you can be the mechanic.